Merrimack Business Association Candidates Forum, April 2nd, for Town Council candidates. I'd like to welcome the candidates, Bill Boyd, Lynette Peterson, and Finley Rothaus. I'd also like to welcome the citizens that have come here to watch it and those who are at home. I'd like to start off very quickly just talking a second about the Merrimack Business Association. We were founded in 2010 by myself, Mike Malzone, Bob Wallace, Phil Strait, and Dan Dwyer, all either current or former business owners, and our goal has been very simple, to help other small business owners either start up business or to help them deal with some of the issues that come up. During the last 4 years, we've helped about 24 businesses, whether it be in helping with the red tape, explaining what a burn rate is, dealing cost analysis, and other issues that affect a small business. Many times we haven't had the answers ourselves, and we've reached out to the business community, and they have helped us. We're a non-profit collaborative, and I'm pleased to say that we have never taken one penny, nor do we plan to, from anyone. I'm a big believer that resources, know-how is important, and that's what we're trying to reach out there and let people know we've been there. We don't have the answers. In fact, some of the people that we work with have helped us in our own businesses. We also want to begin reaching out to the community a little more, and that is why last year we were very involved in Merrimack Rocks that was put on in September at Watson Park. And this year we thought we would try to put on a candidates night, because an informed Merrimack voter is a good Merrimack voter, and that's what we're doing this evening. I next would like to bring Dan Dwyer, one of the founders, up to talk for a second, and then after that I'll bring Tom Young up, who will be the moderator for the evening. We are hoping that we're going to be out of here by 8 o'clock. It's 7:05 as I speak. We have about 10 questions. A lot of them concern business, and we're hoping that we're going to get quick answers. It's the old thing, do as I say, not as I do. So try not to use me as a blueprint. And we're looking for concise answers and moving on so we can cover as much space as we can. At the end, we will have about 1 to 2 minute wrap up from each candidate. So at this time, I'd like to bring Councilor Dan Dwyer forward, who has been very instrumental in founding this organization and setting up the candidates forum that we're having this evening. Dan.
Thank you, Dave. I just wanted to thank the candidates for showing up tonight, and also recognize the Exchange Club, because as many of you know, for years the Exchange Club has done a candidates forum for every election in town. And when Dave first brought this up to me a few months back, that was kind of like the first words out of my mouth. I said, well, what about the Exchange Club? What I think you'll all agree is you can't have too many opportunities to get to the Merrimack voters. So with all due respect to the Exchange Club, and they do a great job, we weren't trying to compete with them. We wanted to have another opportunity for people at home to meet the candidates who are running for office, and that's what this was all about. So I want to thank you, Bill, Lynette, and Finley, for all agreeing to be here tonight. And the best thing about this is the resources of our staff here in town with our community television show, because without that show, in the modern era, I think that's how people really get to know who we are in town running for office. So can't speak enough about you guys being here tonight, and I hope we can do it again every year with every candidate that wants to come and get your views across. So thank you very much, and thank you for people at home for remembering next Tuesday, April 8th, voting day. Let's have everybody get out there and remember it's a lot more important for your local vote than it is for presidential politics and everything else. This local vote is really where you can really make a difference. So thank you.
Thank you, Dan. At this time, I'd like to bring Tom Young up. Tom is a host and producer of Merrimack Close-Up on Channel 22, and a longtime resident of town. Tom, if you could introduce each of the candidates and just kind of go over the ground rules very quickly, and then off we'll go. Thank you, Tom.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you, Dave, for inviting me to do this. It's a privilege to be here interviewing these candidates. And they are, as I face them left to right, Bill Boyd, Lynette Peterson, and Finley Rothaus. We've got a nice little intimate gathering here, so in the spirit of that, let's try to, as Dave said, make sure we keep answers concise and more or less conversational. So rolling right into the meat of this, I'd like to start by asking each candidate to present some opening remarks. We will begin with Bill. And so, Bill, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And good evening. My name is Bill Boyd, and I am seeking re-election to the Town Council. And I want to thank Dave McRae and the members of the Merrimack Business Association, Tom for moderating the event tonight, and to Channel 22 for bringing this forum to our viewers this evening. And I want to thank the members of our community who have joined us in the room here tonight. I reside on Joppa Road with my wife, Michelle. We've been there for 9 years. I'm a graduate of Boston College, and I currently work as a provider relations representative with Simpatico, a third-party behavioral health and specialty therapies insurer. I'm currently a member of the Town Council, as I said. Previously, I served on the Planning Board, the School Budget Committee, and the EdCAC. Currently, I am the Council's liaison to the EdCAC, and I serve as their alternate to the Planning Board. I seek re-election to the Council to maintain and continue the good work the Council has done during the past 3 years. As a member of the Council during this time, I've worked diligently with the councilors, town manager and staff, and other community leaders and boards to ensure Merrimack is making progress in different focus areas such as solid waste, roads, infrastructure, quality of life, and economic development. Merrimack's regional economic growth has had a huge impact, and in this regard, we need to be continually vigilant to ensure Merrimack retains its business-friendly culture and economic viability in this region. I seek re-election to the Town Council because I do have a proven track record and the experienced leadership necessary and needed to continue the progress Merrimack has made as a community. We need to ensure that our town positions itself strategically for future growth, remain fiscally sound to accommodate that growth, continuing our economic diversity while maintaining our business friendliness to ultimately preserve and protect our quality of life. And I look forward to the moderator's questions this evening. And thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you, Bill. And we turn now to Lynette Peterson for her opening remarks. Lynette?
Thank you. And there we go. I think we're on. Yeah, thank you. First, I'd like to thank the Business Association of Merrimack for the invitation, Tom for moderating, and the audience that's here so we're not talking to ourselves, and of course the viewers at home. Again, my name is Lynette Peterson. This is my first time running for Town Council. I'm a two-term state representative for the town of Merrimack, and over the past 2 terms, I've served on the House Judiciary Committee. My first term, I was appointed clerk of the committee. A few of the main things that I've touched on up at the State House, I was the prime sponsor to eliminate Common Core standards here in New Hampshire. Unfortunately, that was defeated. I also led the floor fight in defeating assisted suicide in New Hampshire. And I was also the key speaker in getting civil immunity for gun owners in case their guns were stolen and used in a crime. Why should gun owners be tried for a crime they didn't commit? Those are 3 of the top issues that I was involved with up at the State House this past term. My reason for running, I've been involved with Merrimack residents for 4 years now. I am not seeking re-election for state rep. I have 2 daughters that are now in college, and I need to help pay for them to get through school with as little debt left to them as possible. They'll be in debt for the rest of their lives with everything else. Their father and I do not want to saddle them with school expenses. Up at the State House, I'm at Concord 3 days a week, which limits my time working. As a town councilor, I'll be right here in Merrimack working mostly evenings, which will allow me to go back to working full-time until my children finish college. First and foremost, my children's education is the most important thing to my husband and I need to go back to work to help my daughters. Like I said, I've been involved with working with Merrimack residents these past 4 years, and I want to continue doing that on some level. Running for town council was one of the best ideas my husband and I could think of. We've been thinking of this since the end of my first term. I've been dealing with Merrimack issues via emails, phone calls, or even just meeting people in the grocery store. Merrimack residents have a lot on their plate and a lot on their mind, and I've enjoyed getting to know them, helping them work out their problems, and wanted to stay involved in the town of Merrimack. And town council is one of the best ways we can think of doing that. And I thank you for the question.
Thank you very much, Lynette. And finally, of these three candidates, Finley Rothaus, your opening remarks.
Thank you, Tom. And I as well want to thank the Merrimack Business Association for allowing this opportunity for us to address questions to the townspeople. My name is Finley Rothaus, and I reside at 14 Kittredge Lane, and I'm here tonight to ask for your support in my bid for re-election to the Merrimack Town Council. Back in 1971, my dad retired from the Navy, and he always talked about moving to New Hampshire. And in August of that year, he took the family, and we moved to a small town of about 5,000 people on the banks of the Merrimack River here in Merrimack. I attended the class of 1975 here at Merrimack High School, and when I graduated, I went into the Army for 3 years, and I actually had gone in to play music, but ended up working as a lab tech in medical support for a tanking unit. After the Army, I started working for myself, and I've been self-employed since. In 1985, I married my best friend, Lori Goodrich, and together we have 3 children. Erin Ashley's 27, and she's a speech-language pathologist. Our son Ryan is 26, and he's a relatively new police officer with the Milford Police Department. And our baby Sarah is 22, and she's a senior at Keene State, and will be following in her mom's footsteps into going into education. And in November of this year, something that I had to tell people, have to tell them all the time, is my oldest daughter gave us our first grandchild, and Michael Finley is now 4 months old, and he's lights up our life. He's just been spectacular. My public service began in 1991. I served in the New Hampshire legislature from 91 to 95. My first term, I served on the Constitutional and Statutory Revision Committee, and my second term, I sat on the Judiciary Committee. From 1995 to 2001, I ran for the Board of Selectmen and won 2 terms, and that's where I really learned that I enjoyed our local politics even more so than being up at the State House. After my 2 terms on the Board of Selectmen, I sat on the Budget Committee, the Ethics Committee. We set up the bylaws for the Ethics Committee. I currently sit, and for a number of years have been on the School District Planning and Building Committee. And one of the best committees that I had ever had the opportunity to work on was the Charter Commission, where in 2005 we came up with the form of government we have today. With that new charter, it opened up 2 more seats on the what became the Town Council, and I ran for one of those 2 seats. And for the last 8 years, I've enjoyed the privilege of serving on the Town Council, and during this time, a lot has occurred. With a focus on economic development and a desire to provide a sound infrastructure for our community, I've worked toward the Town Council's goal of maintaining a stable tax rate. We've completed a number of bridge and drainage projects, as well as having increased our deposits into our capital reserve funds. Our property tax base has also increased with the expansion of our commercial industrial sector, and the most noticeable project was that of the outlets. And all of these items help create financial stability for our town. Over these years, I've worked to build a trusting relationship with our business leaders, our town manager and department managers, and with members of the community. I'm committed to building a positive culture where our citizens still have a voice and know that I will stand up for what is in the best interests of our town. Merrimack is a wonderful place to raise our families, and I'm committed to continue my vision of improving our quality of life while being responsible to the taxpayers. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you very much, Finley. So we have 3 candidates who are clearly very passionate about Merrimack. And I want to throw in a reminder here that you out there as voters owe it to fine candidates like these to make sure you vote next Tuesday, the 8th. We don't want to be embarrassed by a low turnout. So that's just me on my soapbox on that. And we will now go into the meat of the questions here, and mixing up the order a little bit so that it isn't too predictable. I will direct this question first to Finley. There has been a lot of business growth in town in the last few years, including, but not limited to, the outlet malls. What ideas do you have to maintain or increase new business development in Merrimack, both for large and small companies? And keep in mind this question pertains to bringing new business to town.
Thank you. As far as Merrimack wasn't always a totally business-friendly community, and over the past number of years, we have tried to work a focus on bringing that back so that when a business goes into our community development department, they have an opportunity to try and make things work as opposed to being told they can't do something. In order to attract businesses to town, you want to have a good quality of life in your community. You want to keep the tax rate as stable as possible, which is kind of my mantra. And in doing that, those opportunities will arise for new business and help keep our old business in the ways of expanding. But thank you.
Okay, thank you, Finley. And I will now turn to Bill. And if at any point during these proceedings you need me to repeat a question, please just say so, or if you need me to speak more slowly.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you for the question. I think to dovetail off of what Finley just said, the key component to maintaining and increasing business development is ensuring that we have excellent customer service at Inspectional Services Division and in the Community Development Department. A couple of years ago, the council made a business decision to remove the building department out of community development, to put that over to the fire department. And while that, originally when the proposal was presented to the community, there was a lot of give and take, pros and cons on that particular move. I think what Merrimack has seen as a consequence is we've created efficiencies, we've streamlined the process, and we've actually created a model for other communities to look to. The State Fire Marshal, Bob Degnan, anecdotally was speaking to the Commission of Affordable Housing. And one of the things that he made reference to, the Merrimack is a model for how to coordinate inspectional and building services with their planning department in town. And dovetailing off of that comment, developers said that is very true. We want to go to Merrimack to do business just based on that particular component. So I think as a consequence, we've created that business-friendly culture at Town Hall so that it immediately invites, entrepreneurs, small and large, that want to come to Merrimack. They know that when they come to town, they're going to be able to get their information and be able to make an informed decision as to whether a particular site is viable for what they're choosing to do or not viable. And a good case and a couple of good examples is looking at Atrium Medical and Nanocomp, large companies that took advantage of our business-friendly climate, chose Merrimack as a place to build their businesses, and they've been thriving. And from a small entrepreneurial perspective is a brand new Abel Ebenezer Brewery Company, small craft, only a couple of employees, but that's the type of, if we're thinking entrepreneurial, that's the type of small business we want to be attracting to some of our more smaller industrial or commercial units that may be vacant out there. So using those particular companies to brand and market Merrimack, I think it's going to be a great way to not only just maintain our business development, but also to increase it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bill. And finally, on this question, Lynette, please.
Thank you. I think first and foremost, as a town councilor, we need to learn to work with the planning board, the zoning board. We need to work with the Merrimack Business Association, as well as the Chamber of Commerce. Make Merrimack enticing to these companies that they want to come and make Merrimack their home. If we don't sell Merrimack to them, they're not going to know what they're missing out on. And then secondly, we need to get New Hampshire has a high tax bracket for businesses coming into New Hampshire. We need to stabilize and lower the tax rate for businesses to make it, again, enticing for them to want to make Merrimack their home. Merrimack has nice, friendly neighborhoods for these small companies to have their employees live. We need to show them that Merrimack, as a business community, is just as enticing.
Thank you very much, Lynette.
You're welcome.
And next question, following on the heels of the previous question, which I will direct to Bill first, is what ways, if any, do you feel that the town could reach out to existing businesses to provide a better business climate, or in some cases, to help them just survive?
I think you're kind of seeing it right now with some of the events that we've seen in the community, as Dave alluded to in his remarks about Merrimack Rocks. We had, this organization reached out to Anheuser-Busch and said, can we get the Clydesdales? I mean, that's a perfect example of a business choosing to give back to the community in that particular regard, to bring people to, that brought people to our center of town, made a focal point of Watson Park. So I think if you look at that particular example, and you looking at it from a municipal standpoint, and it's not just limited to the municipal side as well. It's also with our schools as well. There can be partnerships that can be done on both avenues. But from a municipal piece, like we do our Big Top every year on the 4th of July, the Rotary takes on that responsibility for us. They're constantly reaching out to their business partners to help defray some of the costs that are associated with the Big Top. I think when you look at some of the other private organizations in town, like the MYA, they do a lot of partnering with other businesses in town to promote their particular activities. So I think the way that, from a municipal standpoint, to provide a better business climate is, quite honestly, making sure that we're watching the bottom line on our budget. Are we stabilizing the tax rate? Are we making sure that the roads are plowed? Are we making sure that we have adequate police out patrolling the street, that they feel comfortable to know that when they lock up their building at 11 o'clock at night, that if a fire alarm goes off, they know that the fire department is going to go and respond to that particular fire alarm. So I think from a budgetary standpoint, from a quality of life issue, if you utilize those three key components of police, fire, and obviously paving and plowing our roads, being able to access and egress and be able to create that avenue of approach to conduct business in our community, it's going to look at Merrimack and say, they're doing a good job making sure the quality of life of the community is second to none. And I think if you do that, that's going to drive business traffic into the community.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Maintaining business, Finley.
I think it kind of fits along with my thoughts on the first question. I believe quality of life, stable tax rate are both things that help business within our community, but also the helping them find what they can do. How they can make something work if they want to expand their business, as opposed to just tell them they can't do it. And I know it's a repeat of the previous one, but I think those are the big things. Keeping crime low, quality of life issue, it's all together. It's all very important. And so.
Okay, thank you, Finley. And finally, Lynette.
Thank you. With existing business, I think one of the big stumbling blocks is the red tape. I've been working with a couple of small businesses here in Merrimack. One's trying to renovate from a small leased space, purchasing a new space. The red tape these people have had to go through, they're Merrimack residents, already with a current Merrimack company. It's almost costed them close to $500,000 more. One thing in particular, where they're relocating, there are no sidewalks. The town has asked them to put in a sidewalk. The state has said, no, don't put in a sidewalk. Your sidewalk's going to ruin our plow. Our plow's going to ruin your sidewalk. The state says no, the town says yes. These people are stuck in the middle. Do they put in the sidewalk or no? Who are they supposed to follow? They've reached out to me on several occasions, just trying to get from one location to the next. They almost lost their business because their lease was not renewed, and they thought they'd be moved into their new location. Fortunately, we worked things out. They're having a demolition crew come out and tear down basically what they have, the structure they're moving into, and they're going to start from scratch. And again, if some of the red tape could have been eliminated in the beginning, they'd probably already be up and running. We need to work with our existing companies and help them to bring more revenue into Merrimack instead of driving them away. This couple almost left Merrimack and took their business elsewhere. We need to bring companies here, not drive them away.
Okay, thank you very much, Lynette. All right, let's talk trash, so to speak. A few years back, there was a proposal for pay-as-you-throw. It was brought forward by the town council and defeated by the voters. Do you see any scenario in the next few years where you could see yourself supporting a pay-as-you-throw proposal? And I will start with Lynette.
Thank you for the question. Now, this is a live free or die state. People have the choice. I don't want to be told what trash bag I need to use. I don't want to be told what day I have to have my trash to the dump. I think people should have a choice. The pay-as-you-throw, if I can remember correctly, the bags were small and they were rather expensive. I'm a conservative. I'm going to buy cheap bags at Walmart, use them once, throw them away. It's for trash. I can't see me wanting to support something like this. You have a choice, and my choice is my own trash bags.
Thank you, Lynette. And I now turn to Finley for your thoughts on pay-as-you-throw.
Yes, pay-as-you-throw is a tool to get people to divert their waste from garbage, which costs a lot of money to get rid of, to something that oftentimes the town will get paid for. I don't support pay-as-you-throw because I think that we found it's not necessary. The town is now saving money through cost avoidance for our increased use of our single-stream recycling, which makes it easy, and so it's just a matter of continuing to grow that through educating the townspeople as to the benefit.
Okay, thank you, Finley. And lastly, Bill.
I'm going to sound redundant, but it's pretty much verbatim what Finley said. I mean, the answer is no, I don't see a scenario where Paytee comes across. We've generated $18,000 in revenue. We've generated a cost avoidance this year of $340,000. We've worked, staff and council, cross-jurisdictional support with the schools to get into the classrooms to educate the children on the benefits of recycling. And that's still being fleshed out, still being worked out. But if you think about it, for people that have kids, kids are impressionable. So if you're able to reach out to kids and be able to say, talk about recycling as a whole in Merrimack, they're going to go back home and they're going to go to their parents and say, we need to be recycling more. So I think using that generational piece, bringing that back home into their home environment, I think it's going to increase the revenue. Well, I shouldn't say revenue amount, but it's going to increase the monetary amount of cost avoidance that we haven't seen it to our fullest potential. I mean, we're at $340,000 right now. With more education in our schools, with more education in the community. And you talk about business partnerships. This is a great area where businesses could get involved with this particular piece and in educating the community on the benefits of recycling. So that's where I don't see. I think we're doing a great job right now, and I don't see us revisiting that issue.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Well, there's one issue on which the candidates are unanimous. Now, shifting gears again to a pretty crucial issue. This one is, do you have any innovative ideas for raising revenues to help reduce or maintain our property tax rates? And I will address this question first to Bill.
Thank you. I've talked about it a little bit before. The things that I look at first and foremost is taking a look at the transfer station. We've got the big pile that's collecting methane. We ought to explore the opportunity to do methane collection. I think that's a very unique opportunity to try and generate some revenue. We have some brownfields that exist in Merrimack specifically. The one down on Wright Avenue, I think, is a great location where you can create some type of a solar farm that can be used to offset energy costs that exist in the community. The third piece that I would look at is to continue energy efficiencies in our buildings. Look at cost sharing, look at cross-jurisdictional cooperations with other departments in terms of being able to buy in bulk, whether it be gasoline, whether it be propane gas, that kind of thing. And looking at all of our buildings, not just the town hall and the other town buildings, but look at all the municipal structures that exist in town and see if there are ways that we can lower our energy costs through efficient windows, through solar, that kind of thing. And the one last piece that I would also cite is, the voters will have an opportunity whether or not to approve or disapprove the new highway garage. And I certainly, should I be reelected to the council, that would be one thing that I would be looking at the highway garage to see, can we afford to make the highway garage as energy efficient as possible when we go through the rebuild and the rehabbing of the existing facility. So quite honestly, energy. That's where I really think the target needs to be over the next 3 to 5 years, is how can we contain our energy costs? And I think that will help us drive down the bottom line in the long run. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bill. And now I address the question to Lynette. What innovative ideas for raising revenues do you have?
Well, first and foremost, 70% of the town budget is from the school budget. And I think we need to get the school spending under control first and foremost. And by getting that under control, then that'll help lower and stabilize the town property tax. Once that's taken care of, and that's going to definitely take some time getting the school budget under control. The Merrimack Outlet Mall has not been completed yet. There's still more phases to be finished. I think if we finished the Merrimack Outlet phases, that's going to bring more business to Merrimack. That's going to bring more revenue to Merrimack. That will also help lower the property tax. And then there's plenty of empty store frontage in Merrimack already. Let's fill the storefronts that are empty. Again, that'll bring more revenue into Merrimack. More revenue means less money coming out of the constituents' pockets.
Okay, thank you, Lynette. And finally, Finley, your thoughts on increasing revenue, keeping property tax rates in check?
Sure. Increasing revenues typically means increasing fees or taxes and so on. And so, short of selling off more recyclables when the commodities market climbs up or whatever, short of that, raising revenues is a more difficult thing. I think what we have to do is continue on efficiencies in solid waste, the recycling, continue to expand that program. In wastewater, we've put in new motors in these 40-year-old pumps, and that lessens substantially our energy costs. And so those are the ways. We're not going to raise revenues that way, but we're going to avoid cost. And so I think that's pretty much the angle that I would be taking it from.
Okay, thank you, Finley. And now the opposite side of the coin to the previous question. I'll give Lynette the opportunity to answer first. What innovative ideas do you have for reducing spending to help reduce or maintain property tax rates?
Okay, thank you. And again, starting with the school budget, 70% of the property tax comes from the school, and that goes up year after year. The population of Merrimack schools has been going down. Budget keeps going up. School spending needs to get under control. And to me, I don't believe taxes and fees are revenue. That's coming directly out of your citizens' pockets. To me, that's not revenue. Revenue is something that's coming into the town with spending in the Merrimack Outlet Mall, shops, things like that. We need to make Merrimack more enticing. We need to finish the Merrimack Outlet and fill the empty stores that we already have. That's how we're going to increase revenue, not by taxing and feeing our taxpayers to death. It's not revenue when it comes out of their pocket.
Okay, thank you, Lynette. And Bill, your question on reducing spending?
Well, I guess I would refer the viewers to the answer I gave to the previous question regarding the brownfields and regarding the landfill that's been covered. And the reason why I refer the people to that, because you can actually, conceivably lease those particular facilities out to a third party, and you can take basically land that's not generating any revenue right now and bringing that back on the tax roll. So that needs to be of consideration. The second piece comes back to one of the other previous questions regarding business growth. The town council, with a big assist from the Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee, enacted ERZs, or Enterprise Revitalization Zones, specifically for the Shaw's Plaza and for the Zylas Plaza. So you'd be taking those two particular pieces of property that aren't creating any type of economic activity, using that as a marketing tool to entice certain companies that are looking to settle in Merrimack, having them look at those particular locations, because the ERZs provide them an incentive to go in, revitalize, rehab, and basically fix up a piece of property that is, for the lack of a better term, blighted. As far as from a budgetary standpoint, I think, having sat on the council for the last 3 years, I think the councilors have worked with the town manager, have worked with staff, and they've done yeoman's work. Every budget season, we've asked our department heads to go back and give us 2%, go back and give us 3%. So I think, I don't want to nickel and dime our departments to death, but I think we are constantly vigilant in our bottom line with our budget, of what really watching the bottom line, because I think we're at a bottom. I think we're literally at a bottom right now, where if there's any dramatic impact to our budget, then you begin to affect quality of life. And the way I describe quality of life is, do the parks get mowed? Do we have to take a cop off the street? Do we have to take a plow driver, away from one particular thing to do another? So I think that's something that's been very vigilant for the councils over the last 3 years. So in terms of having any innovative ideas, I think we're constantly looking for any avenue of approach that gives us an opportunity to save at the bottom line. And it's a yearly process. It's not, it's a daily process, not just a yearly process. It's a daily process when the councils sit behind here. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Bill. And lastly, your thoughts, Finley.
Yes, Tom. Ideas to reduce spending, I have no new ideas. I can tell you, though, that over the past half dozen years, the council's been very prudent with their budget. So the town manager, when a budget is brought to the council, it is already a pretty responsible budget. In order to do any substantial cuts, it would be quality of life issues. And so those are discussions that can happen. And I'm always interested to hear ideas of what people are willing to give up. But for right now, I think those quality of life issues are too important in order to keep business coming to town, in order to grow businesses that are in town, having them want to stay and work in our community. As far as the school budget, we have absolutely no say over that budget. And so there's nothing that we could do to remedy what we might perceive as problems on that side of the ledger, whether or not they exist. So I think the other end is just keep our business-friendly atmosphere going, keep our quality of life issues at the top of the pile, and I think we'll be doing fine.
Okay, thank you, Finley. This next question was touched on a little bit by Bill earlier, so I will address it to you first, Bill.
Thank you.
Are you in favor of the new highway garage proposal? And what other capital expenses do you see the town having which will improve infrastructure during the next 3 years or so, while also requiring the town to seek bonds or remove large sums from capital reserve?
Thank you, and I appreciate the question. The short answer to the highway garage proposal is yes, I support the highway garage. The facility was built in 1973. It's 2014. It's 40 years old. It was supposed to serve a community of 7,000. We're now a community of 27,000. So it has served its useful purpose, and I think we're at least from my standpoint, I'm ready to move on and create a new facility that is able to provide be able to address some of the safety issues that exist at the facility, address some of the inadequacies that exist in terms of our employees being able to work on, fix, and maintain our fleet of vehicles, store the necessary supplies that are needed to maintain our roads and maintain our bridges. And the one other piece that's actually kind of interesting is that there's no separate areas that segregates our male employees from our female employees. So being able to give our employees of either gender the ability to come to work and be able to wash up and take care of themselves with some discretion, I think is also important as well. As far as capital expenses, this year's budget, we've already allocated money to look at McGaw Bridge and the bridge on Route 3, and I think those are going to be infrastructure pieces that we're not going to be bonding. We're going to be saving. We're going to be pulling funds out of capital reserves to fix those bridges because it's advantageous. The state has a bridge grant program. They offer up X percentage if we are able to match it Y, and there's it's a good balance. It's a good blend of what I would say state, local, jurisdictional cooperation that allows us to be able to fix and maintain our bridges. But I would say the capital piece moving forward, we're always going to be saving for replacing culverts, fixing culverts. We're always going to be looking to save, to pave our roads. I certainly don't want to be opening up a credit card line just to pave our roads. I think it's wrong. We should be paying for that in cash, and that's what this council has done over the last 3 years, and I think we need to continue with that particular practice. So in conclusion, pieces like a highway garage or any other type of a facility that has a municipal impact, certainly, I think that's appropriate for bonding, but when it comes to roads and bridges and culverts, that we should be saving for that and paying for that in cash.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Tom.
And during your answer, I was thinking of our beautiful frost heaves all over
Well,
town.
that's a good point. I mean, that's part of the infrastructure piece, is fixing the frost heaves every winter.
Yes. Okay, thank you. I turn next to Finley. Would you like a repeat of the question? It's rather lengthy, or you're all set?
No,
to
I
go?
think I'm all set.
Okay.
Thank you. I do support the highway garage. Inefficiencies that one looks for in trying to trim our budgets, that is a place that I think would help. I don't know in how substantial of a way, but the plan is to bring into our current facility, to convert it into basically a storage unit for our highway equipment. That would serve two purposes: keep it out of the weather, and as well prepare their use for winter storm emergencies and so on. We're unable to preload those vehicles with the material that they spread on the road, and by having them stored inside, we in fact could do that during regular business hours, so there's no overtime included in that. And then when a storm emergency is called and we have to get to the roads, our drivers would just show up for work and start plowing the roads immediately. Again, a small thing, but an efficient use of equipment and manpower. I think as far as the next 3 years or so, we do have a few bridge projects coming up. McGubbridge Road being one of the first. We do have a Route 3, all at Babusick Brook crossings, and as well Bedford Road. These are bridges that will be done in the next few years, and those will have monies coming out of capital reserve funds. We've also, this year, the budget that the council has sent to town meeting includes a estimated 20-cent property tax rate increase. 10 cents of that is our operating expenses, and the other 10 cents is all capital projects. We've increased our paving account monies to spend, and as well more monies going into these capital reserve funds to cover these bridge costs and so on. And so those are two big items.
Okay, thank you very much, Finley. And lastly, Lynette, your thoughts on the highway garage and capital expenses.
Thank you. Yes, I'm definitely for the expenses that are going to be needed to rebuild replace the garage and rebuild the existing structure that's there. The conditions there are deplorable. It's a safety issue. The money that could be saved by preparing for storms ahead of time can't be done now because there's no room. Some of the trucks don't fit in the garage. Having a new garage, they can plan ahead, be ready for storms. Maybe less overtime would have to be spent because they'll be prepared ahead of time. I am definitely for that. As far as future projects, we have a fire station that's probably heading down the same road that the highway garage is. It's not a safety issue yet. It's not a deplorable conditions yet. That's something we're going to have to look at. If our firemen are not safe in their facilities, how are they going to be ready to act and react when they have to? That's something that's going to need to be looked at.
Okay, thank you very much, Lynette. And next question, I will have Finley go first on this one. What yearly town expenses do you see as the most likely to rise significantly in the next 3 years, whether it be health care, heating oil, etc.? And what ideas do you have that will minimize their impact on the tax rate?
Yes, the one that comes to my mind, and I'm just not sure, would be healthcare. And what we have done in town, and so I don't have a new idea of how to deal with this, but what we have done is we have a program for our employees that when their doctor has asked that they have a procedure done, an MRI, for instance, if they go out and shop different places where they can get an MRI, and there's a list, this Compass program has a list out for our employees. If they are able to use one of these other providers at a much lower cost, they're given an incentive, a dollar amount, and the town makes the savings on our healthcare costs, which are all have a direct impact on our rates that we pay. That program is growing. We've done comparable communities, communities that have taken on this same program. We've done quite well. We've educated our workforce about it, had sit-down meetings with all employees, and I think in the longer term, it's a pretty new program. In the longer term, I think it's going to work out really well for us.
Okay, thank you, Fidley. And next to Lynette on this question.
Thank you. I definitely believe healthcare is going to be going off the charts. The Affordable Care Act, which is turning out to be the Unaffordable Care Act, is going to drive healthcare expenses through the roof over the next few years. Until the state can either opt out of the Affordable Care Act, which wasn't voted on, and whether or not they can get out of Medicaid expansion, medical expenses, we're not going to have much control over. This is a train wreck that has been dumped on the state, and there's no quick miracle on how to get medical expenses under control. That's on a federal level. Cutbacks can be made on the local level, but a lot of it's mandated from the federal government, and unfortunately, it's going up.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Lynette. And finally, Bill.
Thank you,
thoughts?
Tom. I alluded to earlier my piece on energy efficiency. That certainly would be obviously an expense that I see, considering that, New Hampshire's in New England, we're a cold weather state, or a polar vortex state, whichever you prefer. We're going to see those particular costs rise. That's stuff that we can control. The healthcare piece, that's a part of collective bargaining. Collective bargaining agreements are not going to be up for about another year or so, and that will be the next time when we actually will have an opportunity to revisit the healthcare piece. The most current contracts that were signed by the collective bargaining units in the town council did have a healthcare concession in the third year of the contract. So hopefully, from that particular perspective, we can work with the collective bargaining units to have an even greater impact with the healthcare. But I really think the large albatross in this whole equation is something that we can't control, and it's pensions. It's absolutely the pension cost. Right now, there's a lot of different research. Cato Institute, Pew, they have the doomsday numbers as to what our liability is. I think Morningstar has it best. The current value of our pensions is at roughly $5.8 billion with a liability of a little over 10. That means we have an unfunded liability of a little over $4.3 billion. Let me just say that. It's $4.3 billion. And in 2012, this council, there was downshifting that occurred up in Concord. The police responsibility, which was at 18%, was dubbed down to 23%. Fire went from 22 to 30%. So we saw a 13% increase in the town's responsibility to funding that unfunded liability, which came out to a little over $300,000. So the remedy has to come from Concord. There's a lot of different remedies, from cutting the benefits that's given as a consequence to people that participated in the pension. Do we ask the employees to contribute more? Do we migrate to like a 401k, which means you still haven't solved the unfunded portion, but now you're putting your younger employee population into something that's more manageable, that they have more control over. The bottom line is that Concord is downshifting, and they're asking the municipalities to, i.e. the taxpayers, to pay this liability more in the long run. And from the reports that I've seen, they want to do it in incremental steps. Well, Merrimack got whacked 13%. I mean, that's not incremental to me. But if it wasn't for Merrimack Premium Outlets coming on the tax roll, our taxes would have gone up substantially had we not had the MPO on the books to mitigate that particular response. But how we may not have that luxury moving forward. How we address that, I'll be honest with you, I don't have an answer. But that's the largest expense I think the town is going to have to address over the next 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And this is the last sort of discussion question we have. I will address it first to Lynette. What is your vision for Merrimack Town Center in the next 25 years, and what role will businesses and the private sector play in that vision?
Okay, thank you for the question. And again, I think by working with having the town council, the Merrimack Business Association, the Chamber of Commerce, the zoning board, all working together to make a business-friendly town having enough variety of services here in town where Merrimack residents can shop in town, keep their money in town, it keeps jobs in town, makes for a happy town, makes people want to live in Merrimack, makes Merrimack more affordable, keeps the tax rate down. If you fill all the storefronts, you finish them all, makes for a nice lower tax rate for the people, and it also makes it more enticing that people want to live here.
Okay, thank you, Lynette. And now to Finley on the same question.
Yes, when I moved here 42 or 3 years ago, there was no town center. And while we might not have an oval like our neighbors in Amherst and Milford and so on, we now have what is gradually evolving into a nice center of town. With the, gift of Watson Park and the way that's gradually growing and maturing, seeing all the folks using the river and the park in the summertime, the thought of possibly having some skating down there is pretty exciting to me. So the wintertime will have some use going on. Walking trails going out under Chamberlain Bridge and heading up toward the west side of town, opening that up. It's all good things. I think the volunteers we have in our community do a lot of work, and it's a long process, but it's moving forward, and anybody can see the good results that have been coming of it.
Okay, thank you, Finley. And last but by no means least, your thoughts on this bill?
Thank you. I appreciate it, Tom. My vision is pretty much the same vision as the community's. The EdCAC, back about 6 years ago, we were able to work with the National Regional Planning Commission to actually come up with a conceptual design for a town center. The town council asked volunteers to participate in the town center committee, which we still have today. And I think the town center committee has done a great job really focusing on using Watson Park as the linchpin for our center and looking at ways to expound upon and that particular town, the town center concept that we've got a blueprint of what we envision. We've got trails coming into the center of town. We've got certain businesses that are thriving as a result of having a vibrant Watson Park. You have Swans, Buckley's, Lobster Boat. You have Frank's. You go south, you get DW Diner. Brian Snell in the community is putting together a volunteer effort to give tribute to Gilbert Frazier and expound upon Gilbert Frazier's valor that he gave in World War I to have a Veterans Memorial Square at Frazier Square. So now we've got a gateway coming over Chamberlain Bridge into our town center. So the vision is there. It's just it's going to take a lot of work from the area businesses that are thriving right now, being able to sustain those particular businesses, being able to keep our cross-jurisdictional partners, working with the town center committee, like the planning board, the conservation commission, heritage, zoning. They're all important players. And from a budgetary standpoint, one of the things that the town council did to, again, give more credence to Watson Park as a focal point for our town center is we're adding electricity to the park. We're looking to, because I know Merrimack Rocks, last year they needed electricity, they used generators. Well, now we're going to be able to run an electrical line down to the pavilion, and that'll allow for night events to occur. It's going to allow us to consider putting lighting there. Maybe we'll move the ice skating rink that's on O'Gara Drive, bringing that down into the town center. So there's some things that we're doing right now for the town center that adds to that vision. But what you're seeing in the blueprint is what I really envision seeing 25 years from now. Active trails, a vibrant Watson Park, an active Sauhegan River Beach, and Swans, Buckley's, and Lobster Boat, and hopefully other new restaurants, flocking up in the area, being able to provide additional amenities to the people that come to our center.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
And thank you to all three of you for your thoughtful answers and providing some insight into yourselves as candidates. And the last piece of giving the voters, of whom we hope there will be a lot, is your closing remarks. We will start with you, Finley.
Thank you, Tom. And,
putting you right on the spot.
and I should have known, but I do appreciate your running this program tonight, and for the Merrimack Business Association for offering this opportunity. In 1975, when I went into the Army, I didn't know if I'd ever be coming back to Merrimack, but lo and behold, I did. I raised my family here, and my oldest daughter bought her first home here, and we'll probably be doing the same, I think. Merrimack is, I'm going to steal it from Bill Boyd because I know he's going to say it, but Merrimack is the 23rd best place to live in town, in the country, and it's the 19th safest place. We are a business-friendly community. We embrace our businesses. We want them to be here, and I think that will continue to show as more businesses, large and small, come to our community. I'm just asking for your support on April 8th, and if you would like to get in touch with me to talk about anything, my number would be 494-0893, and again, thank you.
Thank you very much, Finley, and I turn now to Bill for your closing remarks, although Finley stole some of your thunder.
Yeah, I
I
was
know,
just going to
I'm
say
sorry.
Finley did steal some of my thunder, but that's fine.
But it's all the same thunder.
It's the best thing about Merrimack, being number 1 in New Hampshire, 4th in New England, 23rd in the nation, Money Magazine, best smallest town in America, and we're the 19th safest community according to Neighborhood Watch, which relies on FBI data. And I'm sorry, as a community, we should take a lot of pride in that particular fact. It means we're doing something. It means we care about our community, and we're moving forward with the things that are important to us. And over the next week of this campaign, I look forward to engaging the community on those particular issues that are impacting Merrimack, both in person, by email, and by phone. If you do have questions, my email address is boydnh@gmail.com, or you can reach out to me at bboyd@merrimacknh.gov, or you can reach out to me by phone, and it's my cell phone. It's 660-6077. Voting day is Tuesday, April 8th, at the James Mastercola Upper Elementary School. I ask you to please come out and vote and support the fact that we are the 23rd best town in the United States. I ask of the community and for the people in attendance that I sincerely ask you for your vote and support for re-election to the town council. And on a personal note, I would like to thank the community of Merrimack again for the opportunity to work and serve you over the town council for the past 3 years. It has been indeed an honor and a privilege. And Tom, thank you very much to you for moderating to the Merrimack Business Association for the forum via Channel 22 tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bill. And again, last but by no means least, we have Lynette for your closing remarks.
Thank you. And again, thank you for moderating. As the only non-incumbent for the town council race, I'm the underdog, but I believe I'm the best candidate for the job. I'm coming in from the outside and looking in. I'm coming with no expectations. Everything will be a new experience. Everything will be looked at and analyzed with a fresh set of eyes and new ideas. I have worked hard serving my constituents for the past three and a half years, and I've made it a point not to raise any new taxes or fees or establish any new taxes or fees. If I'm elected as town council, I would continue this precedence and try to get spending under control. Every vote counts, and I hope I can count on your vote on April 8th. Town elections are important. This is when you can make your voice be heard locally, and I thank you, and I hope I can count on your vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Oh,
Lynette.
and I can be reached at 429-9544. If you have any questions, please give me a call. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lynette. And again, I want to thank all three of you for participating in the candidates night for the Merrimack Business Association. And just as we wrap up an aside to the voters, we have three excellent candidates. It's your privilege and indeed duty to vote, so don't skip out on it. Be as proud of the candidates this town is generating as you are of that number 23 ranking. And maybe we can even make that go up a little bit. I mean the ranking, not the number. Low number's better. And now at this point, I would like to turn it over to, I'm not exactly sure who, because the print is too small, and my reading glasses don't translate onto TV while still maintaining my vanity. Phil Straight, please.
Yeah, we just wanted, the Merrimack Business Association just wanted to say thank you very much for participating, make this presentation possible. Having worked with all three of you on a personal level, I know it's going to be a tough vote, but we ask everybody to do two things, the TV audience, do two things. support your local business, and get out and vote April 8th. Thank you.